I should have known something was wrong when the interviewer looked relieved instead of impressed. Most hiring managers smile politely. Some pretend to be enthusiastic. Few are bored. But Mr. Calder looked like I had just saved his life. "Daniel Reed?" he asked, standing up so fast his chair rolled backward and hit the wall. "That's me," I said, offering a handshake. His palm was cold. Not nervous sweaty cold, night air cold. "Great, good, perfect timing," he muttered, already ushering me into his glass office before I could even sit in the waiting area. Perfect timing for what? I figured they were just desperate. The listing said Administrative Operations Assistant for a private data logistics firm. Boring title. Decent pay. Overnight shift. I needed the money. Student loans don't care about red flags. Still, as I sat across from him, I noticed something odd. There was already a nameplate on the desk facing me. Evan Ward, Operations Assistant. I pointed to it. "Oh, am I replacing Evan?" Mr. Calder froze. Not subtly, not briefly, completely. Then he turned the nameplate face down like it offended him. "We've had some turnover," he said. Turnover. Like Evan had just quit. Except there was something in his voice. A strain. Like he was holding a door shut against pressure. I should have walked out. Instead, I signed the paperwork. First day. The building looked normal during the day. Glass exterior. Corporate logo. Employees with coffee cups and badges. But my shift started at 9:47 p.m. Not 9:30. Not 10 o'clock. 9:47. I thought it was a typo in the email. It wasn't. When I asked HR, the woman just said, "That's when coverage changes." Coverage for what? I arrived at 9:40 p.m. The lobby lights were dimmer than during my interview. Security was just one older guy watching static-heavy CCTV feeds. He didn't ask my name. He just slid a badge under the glass window. It already had my photo. I hadn't submitted a photo. I stood there holding it. "Cameras by the elevator," he said without looking at me. "I haven't taken one yet." "You will," he said. I didn't. The office floor. Operations was on sublevel 2. I didn't even remember seeing that on the building directory. The elevator didn't have a button for it either. Just B1. But when I scanned my badge, a hidden button lit up. B2. The doors opened to a hallway that smelled like recycled air and carpet cleaner. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. Cubicles stretched across a wide room, maybe 30 desks. Only 5 people were there. All of them stopped typing when I walked in. Not glanced. Stopped. Like I'd walked into the wrong house. A woman with tight curls and sharp eyes stood up. "You must be Daniel." "Yes. I'm Mara. I run nights." She didn't smile. She didn't frown. She just assessed me like I was a tool she wasn't sure she trusted. "Desk 17, she said. "Evan's old station." There it was again. Evan. I looked around. Nobody else reacted to the name. Too carefully. Evan's desk. Desk 17 was cleaner than any workstation I'd ever seen. No coffee mug. No sticky notes. No pens. Just a computer, keyboard, mouse, and a small gray inbox tray. Inside the tray was a single sticky note. "Don't log in unless you have to." I laughed under my breath. Office humor, right? I logged in immediately. Password was already set. Username, Ewid. My chest tightened. They hadn't even made me my own login. The system opened to a dashboard full of internal emails, data routing tasks, and flagged files labeled review. Priority read. "Just process the flagged transfers," Mara said from behind me. I hadn't heard her approach. "Transfer what?" "Archive. Metadata. You don't need the details." That's never a comforting sentence. I started clicking through tasks. It looked like back-end data routing for corporate clients. Boring. Except every time I opened a file, I noticed something strange. Each task was time-stamped between 3:12 a.m. and 3:19 a.m. Every single one. Every night. For months. "Is that a system sync window?" I asked. Mara stared at my screen too long before answering. "Something like that. The first email. At 11:03 p.m. I got an email. No subject. No sender name. Just an internal address. Hewitt@company.internal. That's my login. I opened it. One line. You shouldn't be there. I looked around. Nobody else reacted. Hey, Mara. She walked over slowly. I turned the screen toward her. The email was gone. Deleted. Probably a system glitch, she said flatly. I checked the trash folder. Empty. Does IT joke around like this? She didn't answer. She just said, stick to the flagged queue, and walked away. Things that don't add up. By midnight, I had a list of weirdness. No one mentioned Evan voluntarily. Everyone avoided eye contact longer than normal. The break room fridge had 6 identical lunches, all labeled with different names. The clock on the wall was 7 minutes ahead of my phone. Every time I stood up, someone watched me. At 12:26 a.m., the lights flickered. All 5 employees froze. Nobody spoke. Nobody looked up. They just waited. After about 5 seconds, the lights stabilized. Everyone resumed typing. What happens if they go out? I asked the guy across from me. He didn't look up. They don't, he said. The second email.
1:14 a.m.
Same sender. You're in my seat. I didn't delete this one. I took a picture with my phone. When I checked the photo later, the email text was blurred, like motion blur. But my hand had been steady. I stood up. Okay. Who's messing with me? No one answered. Mara just said, sit down, Daniel. Not annoyed. Not joking. Commanding. The room at the end. At 2:03 a.m., I went to the bathroom. Except the hallway had another door I hadn't noticed before. Gray. No label. Slightly open. Inside was a small office. 1 desk. 1 chair. 1 computer. On the monitor was a sticky note app open with a blinking cursor. And 1 sentence already typed. He can see this now. I stepped back. My badge vibrated. Not a beep. A vibration. Like a phone. Pulled it off. On the back, where there should have been plastic, was a tiny screen. 1 word displayed. Run. I dropped it. The hallway lights flickered again. From down the corridor, I heard a voice. Quiet. Hoarse. Like someone who hadn't spoken in days. Don't let them know you read it. I turned. Nobody was there. But one of the ceiling tiles near the far exit was slightly crooked. Like it had been moved. Back at the desk. I sat down slowly. Mara watched me. You okay? Yeah. My computer had a new window open. A live camera feed. Desk 17. My desk. From above. Timestamp in corner. 3:16 a.m. But it was only 2:11. In the video, I was sitting there, typing. But I wasn't typing. I was staring directly at the camera. And smiling. I don't smile like that. No one does. The message in the system. I opened the task queue again. 1 new flagged item had appeared. No file. Just text. Daniel Reed, replacement confirmed. Under it, previous asset status. Active. My stomach dropped. Asset? Not employee. Asset. I scrolled. There was a hidden tab at the bottom of the dashboard. Ward_protocol. Password protected. Hint. Where is Evan? I didn't know. But my hands typed anyway. Still here. Access granted. File. Evan Ward. Photo loaded. It was me. Same face. Different haircut. Date taken 8 months ago. Status. Embedded. Non-compliant. Last known location. Sublevel 2. Notes. Subject exhibiting awareness of cycle. Increased containment measures initiated. Replacement scheduled. Replacement. That's me. I'm the replacement. For myself. My screen flickered. All the monitors on the floor shut off at once. Total darkness. Someone whispered from somewhere in the room. He opened it. Then the emergency lights came on. Dim. Red. Every coworker was standing. Not moving. Just standing beside their desks. Facing me. At the same time, all their mouths opened. And in perfect unison, they said, "You weren't supposed to remember this early." Now, you're not ready for what's inside sublevel 3. Subscribe and stay close. The truth gets worse before it gets better. The red emergency lights painted everyone's faces the same color. Flat. Bloodless. Wrong. 5 people. 5 identical blank expressions. Mara stepped forward first. You accessed a restricted protocol, Daniel. Her voice sounded layered, like 2 people speaking a fraction of a second apart. I just opened a file with my name on it. That wasn't your file. It had my face. Not this one. My brain stalled on that sentence. Not this one. Behind her, the others tilted their heads at the same angle, like mannequins being adjusted. You're early, she continued. Awareness isn't scheduled until phase 3. Scheduled? I'm not a software update. No, she said quietly. Your continuity. The door that wasn't there before. A loud metallic thunk echoed from the hallway. I turned. At the far end of the office floor, past the bathroom corridor, a door now stood where the wall had been. Matte black. No handle. A glowing panel beside it read, B3 access granted. I didn't scan anything, I said. Mara didn't look at the door. She looked at me with something almost like sympathy. It's not responding to your badge, she said. It's responding to you. They don't try to stop me. This was the part that scared me most. No one grabbed me. No one yelled. No alarms. They simply watched as I walked toward the door, like teachers watching a student take the wrong answer path on purpose. You can't go down there, one of the men said flatly. Then stop me. We can't. Why not? Because he's still alive. The ceiling tile in the hallway shifted slightly. Something above it moved. Slowly. Sublevel 3. The black door slid open without a sound. Cold air rolled out. The lights inside were motion-activated. Dim strips along the floor. Concrete walls. No cubicles. No offices. Just a long corridor with numbered doors. 301. 302. 303. All the way to 317. Most had small reinforced windows. I forced myself to look into the first one. Empty room. Desk. Computer. Chair bolted to the floor. On the desk, a nameplate. Evan Ward. I went to the next. Daniel Reed. Inside was a photo of me as a kid taped to the monitor. Another room. Another desk. Another name. Another face I didn't recognize. 17 rooms. 17 desks. 17 identities. Room 316. The sound reached me before the sight did. Breathing. Ragged. Human. I looked through the window. A man sat in the chair. Hands cuffed to the desk. Beard grown long. Eyes wide and bloodshot. He looked up when he saw me and started crying. Which one are you? He croaked. Daniel. He laughed weakly. I was Daniel too. My legs nearly gave out. They make you think you're new, he said. Fresh hire. Fresh life. But you're just the next copy. I'm not a copy. Then why do you have my face? I didn't. He looked similar, but older. Thinner. Worn down. What is this place? Storage, he said. For the ones who start asking questions. How long have you been here? He tried to answer, but instead he just started sobbing. The truth they hid. A speaker crackled in the ceiling. Mara's voice. You shouldn't be down there, Daniel. Then explain it. Silence. Then, Evan Ward was never one person. Cold dread slid through me. The role requires someone adaptable, observant, isolated. You fit. So did the others. What role? Pattern monitoring, data intuition, behavioral anomaly detection. That's not a job, that's a lab rat. Yes. She didn't hesitate. What they did. Every Evan starts to notice irregularities around month 8. Mara continued. Glitches. Missing time. Strange emails. Because we test perception drift. Why? Because the system we monitor isn't digital. My heart pounded in my throat. It's human. The building. The company doesn't move data, she said. It predicts people. Financial collapses. Violent incidents. Political destabilization. Human behavior modeling at scale. And we need minds that see patterns before machines do. You kidnapped people for this?
No.
She paused. We recruited them. I thought of the job ad. Desperate pay. Night shift. No background check. We watch how long it takes before the role breaks you. And when it does, I looked at the man in 316. You replace us. But here's the problem. You weren't supposed to access ward protocol yet, Mara said. The previous iteration is still active. The man in 316 looked up sharply. You told me I was the last one. You were supposed to be, she said calmly. But Daniel accelerated. So what now? I shouted. Silence. Then, we observe. He was right. The man in 316 leaned close to the glass. They can't end the cycle while I'm alive, he whispered. That creates data gaps. Your leverage. For who? For the version of you that comes next. I staggered back.
No.
No, I'm not staying. Everyone says that. The email again. My phone buzzed. No signal down here. Still, there was a notification. From an unknown sender. Subject. Last chance. Inside was a building blueprint. A path highlighted from B3 to a maintenance tunnel to an emergency exit half a mile from the property. Attached was a note. He helped me once. I'm helping you now. Signed.
EW.
I looked at the man in 316. He gave a small nod. They don't watch analog, he said. Only systems. You have 5 minutes before they lock physical access. From the speaker above, Mara's voice softened. Daniel, you don't have to run. Yes.
Ido.
If you leave, you'll always wonder what you could have become. I already know. I stepped toward the maintenance door at the end of the corridor. Behind me, alarms finally began to sound. Not loud, just disappointed. The maintenance tunnel smelled like rust and wet cement.
No cameras. No badge scanners. No glowing panels.
Just old pipes and emergency lighting strips that flickered like they were thinking about giving up. Behind me, somewhere deep in sublevel 3, a muffled alarm pulsed. Not urgent, not panicked. Measured, like a heartbeat. They weren't scrambling. They were observing. Even now, even as I ran. The tunnel. The blueprint on my phone showed a straight shot, then a ladder, then a storm drain exit near the tree line behind the industrial park. Half a mile. I could do that. I just had to not think about what Mara said. The system we monitor isn't digital. They weren't studying data. They were studying us. Human prediction engines. And they'd been cycling people through like disposable hardware. How many Evans had there been? How many Daniels? How many people were still in those rooms downstairs, waiting for replacements who would never come? I reached the ladder and climbed. My arms shook halfway up, not from exhaustion, from adrenaline crashing into terror. I pushed the hatch open. Cool night air hit my face. I crawled out into tall grass under a cloudy sky.
No fences. No guards chasing me.
Just the distant hum of highway traffic. They really believed I might come back. Morning. I didn't sleep. I didn't go home. I went to the only 24-hour diner I knew and sat in a corner booth with burnt coffee and hands that wouldn't stop trembling. Every time the door opened, my chest locked up. Every time a phone buzzed, I flinched. At 6:12 a.m., my laptop chimed. I hadn't opened it. The screen lit up on its own. One email.
No sender.
Subject. Exit interview. I almost laughed. Inside was a single sentence. Prediction accuracy drops 12% when a subject leaves mid-cycle. Below it, you can still come back. We can help you understand what you are. I closed the laptop. I didn't reply, but the words stuck. What you are. The news. 3 days later, something happened. A financial firm collapsed overnight. A massive fraud scandal. Then a week after that, a violent incident at a political rally. Both events had subtle warning signs that analysts said were impossible to predict. Except I had seen similar patterns in those flagged data transfers. We weren't moving files. We were flagging future anomalies. They had been right. My brain had noticed things before I consciously understood them. That's why they picked us. Not random, not desperate. Pattern-sensitive minds with just enough isolation to be pliable. The call. Unknown number. I answered before I could stop myself. Daniel, Mara said gently. How did you get this number? You gave it to us. When? First day paperwork. I didn't remember that. You're seeing it now, aren't you? She said. The patterns. I stayed silent. You think leaving makes you free, but your mind doesn't turn off. She was right. I'd started noticing things everywhere. Stock trends that didn't feel natural. Crowd behavior that made my skin prickle. Conversations that hinted at outcomes before they unfolded. Come back, she said. Not as an asset, as a partner. I laughed bitterly. You locked people in rooms. Only when they broke. And you think that makes it better? No, she said quietly. It makes it necessary. I hung up. The man from 316. 2 weeks later I saw him. Not in person. On a news article. Unidentified man found wandering near industrial park. Claims to have been held for months. No company named. No investigation details. Just labeled mentally unstable. He'd made it out. And they'd erased his credibility in a day. That's what would happen to me if I talked. We weren't whistleblowers. We were unreliable narrators by design. The real choice. Months passed. I didn't go back. But I didn't go back to normal either. I started documenting patterns. Privately. Anonymous blog posts about behavioral forecasting. Written like theory, not accusation. People started reading. Then researchers. Then journalists. Not enough to expose the company, but enough to plant doubt. And then one night I got another email. Different this time. From a woman. Subject. You were right. She wrote. I used to work night shift there too. Different department. I thought I was imagining things. Your posts made me realize I wasn't. Then another message from someone else. Then another. We were scattered. But we were out. The truth I finally understood. They didn't just study prediction. They studied resilience. What happens when a mind designed to see disaster chooses not to collapse under it? That's the data they never got from me. Because I left. Because I didn't become room 317. Because I chose uncertainty over containment. Last message from Mara. Came almost a year later. No subject. Just one line. We miscalculated you. I smiled. For the first time since that night. Good. I still see patterns. I probably always will. But now I choose what to do with them. And that's the difference between being an asset and being human. If the story pulled you in, hit subscribe. More psychological thrillers and mind-bending mysteries are coming. And the next one goes even deeper.